Okay, we are live streaming on both our Lewis and Clark Booster Club Facebook page, and we are also streaming live and recording this in YouTube, so that way we can, after the meeting, send out a link for those that aren't on social media. God bless you for not being on social media, but we will make sure that you then have the YouTube link so that you can watch this Booster Club meeting remotely. So I actually am going to share my screen because I have an agenda that I want to share. But again, technology, sorry, we're a little bit late tonight. We were having I know you guys would find this shocking, but we were having some technical difficulties. So this is our agenda for this evening. We're going to do a quick President's Welcome. We'll read the minutes from our May meeting. We'll have our officers' reports. We have our athletic director that is here. So if you have any questions specific to athletics and clubs, be thinking about those questions because he will present just a short report after that. We have a fundraising update and then some just general announcements. So I'm going to switch back over to the panel. So for those of you that are joining, I am the president of the Booster Club. I'm Holly Goodman because I keep forgetting. I still want to say Lytle after all of these months. Thank you for joining us. We are still in unprecedented times and we're doing this remotely. Our plan is to keep doing virtual meetings once a month, and I have a schedule that I'll share towards the end of the meeting just so you can see what our upcoming meetings the schedule is. But aside from that, I'm just going to probably move right into reports from our different chairs just so you can get an update on what's going on with the Booster Club. So with that, I'm afraid we were having two devices going on, but we were having some backfeed, which is why we were a little bit late to start the meeing. Oh, so sure. We're all on wheeling chairs, so I will just move out of the way and let Dawn. She will. So this is good. Do I have to
Okay, no. Okay, so minutes from our last meeting, which was May 11th, which was also a meeting that streamed live. The meeting was called to order at 6:30 by Holly. Minutes from April's meeting were read and approved. Our vice president's report was that volunteers who earned choice dollars chose which sport or club they wanted their money to go to. Over $7,000 in choice dollars were assigned, and coaches now have 18 months to use that money. The treasurer's report reported a balance of $54,789. Not much activity during that month, and a budget line item was being added to keep choice dollars clearly marked in the budget. The May meeting was an allocation meeting. We had 3 allocation requests submitted, one from football, 1,982 requested, and the team had $1,891 in choice dollars to use. Drill requested 1,519 and had no choice dollars available. Knowledge Bowl requested $240, and the club had $191 in choice dollars to use. So of the 3,741 total requested allocation dollars, we only had to allocate 1,657 out of the general budget because choice dollars covered the remaining balance. The concessions report, concession stand was cleaned out and closed down and is now waiting for 2020-2021 activity, should that happen. Spirit Gear had no report in May. Our food drive in May was going well and continued to receive large amounts of donations. The last day of the food drive was June 12th. New business in May was supporting the LC class of 2020 seniors. $330 was approved to go to the senior class to purchase cups for Hartfield fence sign. And the alumni committee was just made a comment that they were welcoming new members. Old business in May was that the Booster Club had open positions of website coordinator, concessions coordinator, and treasurer. Meeting adjourned at 7:10.
Perfect.
That is it.
All right. So in these virtual worlds, if anyone has any corrections to the minutes, then there is the chat that you can make a comment, and then we'll go ahead and check that towards the end. So if you feel like there was a correction that needed to be made to the minutes from our May meeting. Drop it in a comment if you're watching this on Facebook or in YouTube. We actually can see it. It just is going to take us a little bit. And so at the very end, we'll go ahead and check that, and then we'll have a motion to approve the minutes or make any corrections that are necessary. So with that, we're going to move on to the Vice President's report, and Shanda is working this evening, so she couldn't give the report. So I'm just going to give a brief summary of what the Executive Board talked about at our last meeting in September. So coaches and team administrators have access to choice dollars. And so if you have a request for funds needed for your sports team or club, you can still do an allocation request. And if the allocation is within the amount that you have designated for your choice dollars, then the executive board will review those requests with the athletic director and then approve as appropriate. Otherwise, if you are a club or a team and you don't have choice dollars, or you don't have enough choice dollars to cover those expenses that you need for your activity, then go ahead and do an athletic or allocation request, and then those will be reviewed at our next allocation meeting, which is in December. So we'll have a meeting, allocation meeting will be December. We'll have one in February, and then in May. So there'll be 3 allocation meetings for this year in the event there are still needs that our LC athletics or clubs require. So that's how we'll be handling it from here. And then if for some reason, if you are a coach and you need to know if you have any choice dollars, then you can email Chanda, and I put her contact information, her email address up here so that she can send you what your balance is. So that's how you would go about finding out any choice dollars that you have allocated to you. And that is just information that's shared with the team coach. So I think that is it for VP report. So next we're going to go to our treasurer's report, which is good old Candy. Now, supposedly, Candy, I can swap you out with your face, but I didn't. Oh, see, I think I can actually just make you see. Look, now you're under the LC booster, correct? Yes. There you go. So there you go.
I am going to also, can you hear me okay, Holly?
Yep.
Okay,
sure
great.
Can.
So I am going to attempt, yes, I am, to share my screen that has my treasurer's report on it. So can you see
Yes.
There it is. Okay. It's pretty small, everyone, but I wanted to break this out into 2 sections because our fiscal year ends in June. And so I did an update since you received a last treasurer's report on May 11th up through the end of our fiscal year. And then I did one from the beginning of our year until today. And so last you knew, we had $74,789.98 in our account. You can see we had a little bit of activity the rest of May and into June. And then this 49,938.63 was our ending balance as of the end of the year. The big number down there was senior signs was a larger expense in June. And then rolling forward to the summer and fall was, as I looked at previous years, significantly lower activity this year, as you might imagine. We did have a few, we had some funds roll in from the Green Bluff activity, and also some Facebook, I forget what they call that, the Facebook dollars that get donated. We were able to receipt $638 over the summer for that. And then we had a spiritware order that we paid to get the spiritware, the bookstore all loaded up for the fall rush that we know will come at some point. Maybe not this fall, maybe later.
Yes, we'll talk about that in the next section under concession report.
Yeah, great. So then we ended 47,134.84. I think is what that says. So unless there's any questions, that's what I've got for everyone today.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm going to switch views here, and I think concessions report is actually going to be Josie, and she's actually here in the studio with me. And just so that everybody knows, what you see behind us is actually a legitimate screen. So
I'm just doing yard signs.
it's just yard signs. Yeah, we're going to talk about, normally it would be concessions, but yeah.
Hello, everybody. We're trying to get these everywhere. Here's our sign.
So these are the LC yard signs. Yeah. So this is what they look like. They're $10 each. You can order them on our Booster Club website, which I put a banner up there so you can see where you can order them. They're actually on our Spirit Gear portion of our website. The only thing that's been just a little bit confusing that people have been asking is just the pickup. So right now you're coordinating the pickup, which would be
It's my front step.
Oh, your front step.
Oh, yeah, it's working.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you placed an order,
Then they contact me. It
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
and then so
Just word of mouth, though.
Yeah.
We just need to.
it's been in the news you can use, and obviously in our Booster Club newsletter. And actually, we sold quite a few of them, but we want to get all of them out there. So if you have an LC Tiger and you want one of these in your yard, then that's where you would go to find them for $10 each. And as of right now,
In
we
the
don't-
book room.
In the book room. Oh yeah, the book room has them
Go
too.
in person. Yeah.
Yes. Which Dave, you said you're going to give the Spirit Gear update here shortly, so you can explain which is up
See if
next.
we-
Yeah, so you can purchase these in the book room along with Spirit Gear, which Dave will talk about here next.
And then one question, and I don't know if anybody's on here, but people have offered to deliver donated signs to those families that we hear could need one. So we have, I believe we have 10 purchased signs to donate already.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So we just need to know who they are, and then I need to coordinate the volunteers that have reached out and said, I'd love to deliver.
Yeah, so Dave and I had talked about a little bit of this.
So we were thinking maybe a sign up genius, we could say, or even rotate front steps, so it's not always mine. Joby and Kirsten both suggested my front steps as I'm pretty close to Elsie.
Yeah, and the other thing that we
Good
could
location.
Yeah, the other thing we could potentially do, and I'll have to double check with Dave, is that if we gave a paid list to the gal in the book room for people to go and pick up their sign, if it's on the sheet that's paid, I think that might be fine. So Dave's giving me a thumbs up. So if we give a list of the people that have purchased signs and leave it down there in the bookstore so that
Oh, that they can go
they
pick
can
up
go
at
pick
the
it up
book
at the
room
book
also.
room also. So we'll work on getting that list down there too.
Yeah.
So back to, we wanted to have them, so people have been purchasing the signs and donating them.
I think
And
we
so-
sold 50.
Yeah, we've sold 50 just since we've had them
Pretty.
up. Yeah. So we have some students that they're on our radar. And so we'll be going ahead and getting those out there because we're in regular weekly contact with some of those students for the donated signs. So Dave will be on our point person on the donated signs so that we can get those out and deliver. So Spirit Gear would normally be our own Lori McNutt, who's been part of Booster Club before.
Hello. So I wanted Obi-Wan behind me. Anyway, welcome. Thanks for being here. So our Spirit Gear is down at the LC bookstore. So you can go in Lewis and Clark High School. So it is open for people. But what you do is you have to check in through the main office, and then you'll just sign in as a parent, and then you'll do your shopping, and then you'll be gone. So anything that you need at the school is open for people to come in. Again, stop at the main office, sign in on the computer, and then you can go do your shopping. I know that I saw on somewhere that we posted the items that we have.
When you go to find your LC Tigers
On the
yard
website.
sign, you'll see it also.
Okay,
posted the same
so if
place.
you're looking at the yard signs, that's where you can find the current products that we have.
Yeah.
So those are all there. And I think our most expensive is about
$25.
40 bucks,
Oh,
I
40
think,
bucks, yeah.
for the tops.
Yeah.
And then we do have new scarves in, which are gonna be hot items. So
Yeah.
get your LC scarves. That's kind of the new thing.
Who
So,
knew that
Work
when we
hard.
ordered them, that they would be so purposeful when you can wrap them? around-
Yes.
And they were supposed to be for football
Mask,
season.
mask
So,
scarves.
they are mask scarves.
They're
Yeah.
mask scarves.
Yes.
Sadly,
So that's what I have on Spirit Gear.
Perfect. All right, and I think
football season next year.
Well, it's in February.
And you're just gonna say that
right into the
All right. Here we go. So
But it could be.
the athletic report. So basically, again, we now have 3 seasons coming up. So December 28th starts our traditional winter sports season. So that would be gymnastics, wrestling, and boys and girls basketball. So that is basically through January and February. So each sports season now is about 2 months long. And then our traditional fall sports seasons will start on March 1st in April. So that would be cross countries, girls soccer, slow pitch softball, football, things like that. So our fall sports season is March and April. And then May and June will be our traditional spring sports season, which would be, again, the baseballs, the tracks, the golfs, the tennis, softballs, things like that. So right now, that is the current plan for the WIAA. That's the group that we're a part of. Right now at LC, we have about 340 kids doing what we call some sports camps. Really what it is, it's conditioning. Currently, we're not allowed to be in our gyms. We're just outside. So basically, they're outside. Some organizations like baseball, for example, we can throw a ball back and forth to each other. Can't play a game, but you're in what's called a pod of 6 kids. And soccer would be the same thing. They're kind of kicking the ball back and forth, but it's definitely not playing the actual game yet, but it's actually kids out there doing something, coaches out there doing things. And so that's been pretty positive. So we've got about 340. The coaches that signed up to do this, it's all voluntary right now for them. So nobody's getting paid to do this at this moment. They just said, I'll do it. And so they're showing up and doing it. Typically, it's about 2 days a week. It's about an hour to an hour and a half. So that's kind of where we're at in the sports world. Again, we're really hoping that we get things started. The state is going to talk to us in November about November 20th is their date to say, can we play a winter sports season? Now, like everything else, that could change to December 1st or December 20th or whatever, but they're supposed to be like letting us know if it's going to be possible to play a winter sports season around November 20th. So we'll keep you in the loop. Again, I think LC News you can use is the best thing for adults to find out what's going on. And so keep using that. I got a couple other ones, non-sports related. We put the bulletin back together, the school bulletin, and your students can access that school bulletin. We make it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that is accessed on the homepage at lewisandclarktigers.com, lctigers.com, under the About, and that's where you would find that. And then also on Mondays all the time, we're doing a program called LC News. And basically, it's a 10 to 15 minute program that we're featuring different groups at Lewis and Clark, or we're featuring different events. So we are trying to keep up some school spirit in that way. And so you can look for those, and those will be posted again on our website, and you can check those out. So those are always Monday morning at 8:30 for the LC News. So that's what I have.
Perfect.
Questions from anybody?
If you have questions, I'll see it pop up, and then we'll circle back with Dave. So now you don't get Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right. Back to our agenda. Fundraising committee, which is Kirsten. I'm moving you up here, and then we're going to go back to that. How does that feel?
Okay, so my big question is, what are we looking to fundraise right now? I know that Colleen and I had talked about the fact that even a little bit coming in would be great. We have a couple ideas. We could do some.
Obviously, we can take the auction is off the calendar, everybody.
What's that?
The auction you can take that off of everyone's calendar that they've been
yes.
holding on to for November.
Yeah, that's sadly not happening.
Yeah.
So other ideas, we could do some fun like delivery things where we've got like we can boo families, or do you can put ghosts in their yards and with forks and have some fun things like that where people could pay to have that done to for themselves, their kids, another family. There's fun stuff like that that we could do distanced still. Also, we could do something like a spaghetti feed that we would have to organize and sell, and then we could deliver the spaghetti dinners to homes, that kind of a thing, kind of have a virtual spaghetti feed. So there's some ideas that we could do. It just depends on what we want to do right now. And I know everybody's kind of stressed and overwhelmed, but yeah, there's lots of ideas out there. So if we want to put something together, just let me know and we'll throw it together.
Yeah, and the easiest way you can communicate with us through our Facebook page. You can send us a message. Kirsten actually is also our social media contact. One of the things is, we don't, right now, the needs of the clubs and activities is fairly minimal. But one of the biggest things that we were talking about as an exec board is wanting to make sure that the students feel connected with the school, which was part of the reason why when Kirsten and I had that private conversation the other day about, maybe organizing a, like you can boo somebody and stick ghosts in people's yards, or we could do something like that for Valentine's Day or Shamrocks or something like that. It's mostly just trying to think outside of the box, not necessarily as like barn burning fundraising events, but just things that people can do to stay connected. If that's like getting students to cut out the ghosts and get them on forks. And then just that element of school connectedness, like healthy pride. So it's, some of those things that we're talking about are not so much more really for fundraising activities, but just trying to figure out ways that we can create a sense of community, because we're really starting to see the impact of what being isolated and our students not having that connection. So if we could even get kids to sign up to cut out shamrocks, or
how for the auction we have sports do their own baskets, and sort of not compete, but sort of.
Yeah.
I wonder if whatever we just like to do, whether it's working like the lawns or the whatever we decide to do, we could have the teams be a part of it, like, so the soccer team is trying to raise more of whatever, whatever it is, sell more spaghetti dinners or whatever than the tennis team is or whatever. And kind of trying to have the kids as teams able to be involved as a team versus individuals.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I don't know how that looks, and just throwing that out there as a brainstorming, but.
Well, and that's where I would say, Kirsten and I were talking about just having kind of a separate conversation. If anyone is interested that's listening today that has, like an idea or wants to get involved or has seen something else done somewhere else that seems successful, anything that we can brainstorm that we can do. And again, we're not really looking at, we certainly don't want to, be, hemorrhaging money on some of these activities, but I do think it's something that we need to be looking at ways that we can keep the students connected and doing something that has a spirit element to it. So
and a team element too, since we're
part
of a sports supported club.
Yeah.
And
that's
parents
just it.
connected. I mean, we really want our parents to stay involved and feel, ready to dive in next year. So I think the more we can do it, even a little bit of something like that would be good for all of our morale.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's some of those conversations that we're having. So again, if you're interested in being part of that conversation, if you send us a message via Facebook, or if you send at the very end of this broadcast, I have some of our contact information so that you know how to send a message to the Booster Club. We'll start kind of having some of those conversations about what things that we might do to help the kids stay connected and share some of that school spirit. So. All right. Thank you, Kirsten. Was that about, I think that was pretty much all that
I think so. I was struggling to remember all of it. I needed to take better notes, but I think that was about the gist of it.
I think that's about the gist of it. So, all right. Without further ado, we're going to go into the general announcements. Obviously, like the school, we want to hear news about your Tigers. So anything that if your club is still getting together, and doing activities, we want to hear about it. So the best way of getting that information to us is you can obviously send it to our Booster Club page. And then we'll share it that way. We also do try and stay connected with the LC Facebook page and then also the news you can use. So again, we're just trying to, rally the kids and share their accomplishments, no matter big or small at this point. That would be helpful. If you want to be added to our email distribution list, we get interactions on our website about getting added to our email list. The best way to do that is just send an email to lcbooster.info@gmail.com. You can also, if you fill out the form on our Facebook page, on our website, it sends us a notification that you've interacted and sent a message through the website. With that, I kind of glossed this over, but I'm going to make a little I'm going to share my screen here. So this is going to take me a second because I'm still not very good at this. So bear with me. I wanted to give a shout out to the fact that we have all of our positions shared. So it's not letting me share my screen. So but I just want to acknowledge the fact that this is the first time since I have been president that we actually have all of our positions filled. So for those that are not familiar, I'm Holly and I hold the president position. Anybody who is interested in this very prestigious position, my 2-year term will be over at the end of this school year. So if you are thinking that this would be a perfect fit for you, it might be. You just never know. So happy to mentor anyone that is interested. We have our vice president, Shanda, who couldn't be here tonight because of a work obligation. And so she is the vice president, and she would be the person that you interact with about those choice dollars. Candy just joined us as our treasurer. So we're very happy to have Candy take over for Robin. Dawn, now don't you have a senior this year?
No.
So Dawn is our secretary. And so good news, people, she still has a junior. So we still have a little bit more time there. Joe, I know, right?
Yeah. Super senior.
Yeah, super senior. You never know with this virtual learning. Joby is our member at large. And so she was elected at the end of last school year. And Josie Dix, you met tonight, she took over as concessions coordinator. It still says co-coordinator, but you're pretty much holding that position.
Well, with Dave.
Yes, with Dave's helping. Yes, very stressful right now. So Josie volunteered to take over. Yeah, eventually she'll be the popcorn queen when we can reopen our concession stand
We
again.
have popcorn to go.
I know. Well,
Actually, Boy Scouts do that.
Yes,
Kirsten.
who knows? Yeah. So she took over for our
I'll get a
concessions.
Tiger popcorn.
Holly is still our buyer, although I don't think she's probably had to do much buying for our concessions for a little while. But Holly Sorrell, it's the Holly with IE, is our concession buyer. And then Lori wasn't here tonight, but she is our spirit year coordinator. So she's the one that follows all of the fashion trends and pays attention to what everybody is dying to have and keeps our bookstore stocked with all of the current and most desirable fashions for Lewis and Clark. Our website coordinator, we got that position filled. So that is Pat O'Neill, Joby O'Neill's. This is what's so funny about this is that the person that held our member at large position was Heather Williams. And it was her husband, Eric Williams, who was our website coordinator. And so I think isn't that funny how our member at large and our website coordinator seem to be connected again this year, or for right now. So we are very thankful for Pat for being our website coordinator. So he's the one that keeps it all up to date and tells us if we're dreaming when it comes to all these maybe little changes that we want to make. Our fundraising chair is Kirsten again this year, although again, fundraising will look a little different, but we're still doing that. She's also our social media coordinator, so that makes things pretty easy. And then we have Dave as our LC faculty advisor, also known as Lewis and Clark's athletic director. So what we are still currently looking at for this year is that we are in need of someone that might be willing to do a newsletter for us. So our treasurer was our newsletter guru in the past, and she had her last senior graduated. And so we're looking for someone that might just love to teach. Oh, see, look, there's Pat. Pat's in the picture. Hey, Pat, our website coordinator. Good. Way to be thank you for being our angel there. So if anybody that we're still looking for a newsletter, it just goes out once a month, pretty much, anything that we talk about in the meeting and things we want to make sure that people know. It goes, that person coordinates the newsletter, just puts it all together. We all help proof it, add the content to it, and then it gets sent over to Dawn, who then sends it out with our email newsletter, like when we're communicating with our email distribution list. And then at times we also send a link to Teresa so that the link can get into the news you can use so that people have access to it. So if anybody just has this desire to do a newsletter, then please send us an email or a Facebook message because we could really use you. So aside from comments, Joby had a question. Joby, our very own Joby O'Neill, had a question. How do you watch the Monday news? So is this only for the students? The students watch the Monday news, or anybody that can go onto the website? The LC. Okay, so Dave's now he's looking at me.
Yeah. So Joby, that's going to be on our lctigers.com. Okay, and it's actually produced and it's on YouTube, and I believe the link is always LC News 1 is the link to that. Okay, but I'll try and get that out there so that
The LC Tiger, just the homepage?
yeah, the homepage
Okay.
lctigers.com.
Then where do you go? Academics or?
You click on the about page.
That's for the bulletin.
Oh, the
is
bulletin.
About,
Okay.
and there should be a link on that bulletin.
Like that's how I got to our boosters too, right? Is the LC website.
So I was looking, I'm on the LC page, and I was just like, well, where do you go to see that video?
Yeah, I do too.
So don't they watch this during the advisory
Yeah.
class? Because I was watching over one of my teenagers' shoulders the other day, and I was like, well, that looks good. And he's like, I hate this so much.
We will put a link on that bulletin because
Got it.
Jessica and I produced the bulletin. And so I'll have her put a link on the bulletin
Oh, perfect.
so that you can find
The
those
bulletin
episodes.
comes every Monday too?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the
Oh,
bulletin.
bulletins.
Oh, perfect.
They have no reason not to know what's going on. We didn't participate in Hello Week one day. Is it right now? It was last week.
Last week.
It was last
Yeah,
week.
no, I don't think that any.
Yeah. I knew nothing of this either. So we also had Lisa Simpson tell us that we can contact her because she has lots of contacts in the restaurant community and experience with doing virtual nonprofit events. So, ladies,
That's
and gentlemen,
fantastic.
that seems very promising. So thank you, Lisa, for sharing, letting us reach
So I
out to
always get
you.
this first.
So that's good news. Thank you. All right, with that,
So we're looking-
anybody else have any closing
Are
things
you
that I
looking-
forgot? Anybody?
Just market the yard signs, please.
Yes, we want
Let's
to.
order another 250 of them. We have 250. I'd like to order another 250.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna put the link in the news you can use because there was an
It is.
exponential jump when the news you can
Oh, is
use
that
went
the-
out on Friday. Immediately, because people must get it and then open it and come through. I saw a huge spike in terms of the number of orders in that window of time when the news you can use went out. So
She'll put it in again this week. I think, oh yeah, I don't know the place, but we'll put it in again this week.
Well, we can move the accepted.
We also have pennants still. I don't know if Dave wants those in the bookstore or what, but we do have the tiger pennants with the Chris Bovey artwork. So those are still available for the alumni ones for $50. And they're currently in my basement, but I'd be happy to deliver them to Dave.
perfect. That's so that was another thing that we still have because we had planned on doing some other things with that, and then COVID happened and we didn't get to do any of those things. So that's another good point. Actually, Kirsten, can you go ahead and prepare a Facebook post so that of the Bovey prints so that people can see them, and then we can also send those down to the book room so that people can order.
You bet.
Perfect. Okay. Then with that, I think that is a wrap for today. I didn't see any corrections to the minutes, additions or corrections. So may I please have a motion from someone to approve May 2020 minutes from our
I move to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
All right,
Do I have a
second.
second? Was that Jody?
Let's second it.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, All those in
Noted.
favor, just give me a like a picture thumbs up or some Facebook likes. Anybody opposed to approving our minutes? I see no comments saying nay, so the minutes stand approved as read. It's so weird when you have to do these little virtual things and how you have to go about these little motions. So, all right, with that, we'll go ahead and end this broadcast. I did prepare a virtual meeting schedule, so I'm going to actually show that because then you can, and I'll send it to you too, Kirsten. It was the minutes or the meeting schedule.
I can't find it anywhere.
I have to find, meeting schedule. Okay, so we're gonna see if this works when I try and share my screen again. So everybody just beware, you never know what's gonna happen here. Oop, I think it's a winner. I think I can do this. Bam, Booster Club meeting. So there's supposed to be a little rhyme or reason, but we had to adjust a couple of the meetings because of just scheduling conflicts and holidays. So this should be our Booster Club meetings from now until May. And keep in mind that December is an allocation meeting and February is an allocation meeting, and then May will be an allocation meeting. So that is the schedule. And Kirsten, I'll send this over to you so that you can post this as well. And with that, I believe it's a wrap. Anybody else have anything else I forgot?
Do not.
Nobody has anything else to
Got it
share.
all.
All right, guys, then we will go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks everybody for joining me, and we'll see you next month.